high performance has a cost. That is something that I see when clients come to me when they've really actually burnt out. And they'll say, like, I've been doing well for so long. I've always been able to manage stress. But suddenly I'm so anxious. Suddenly I'm struggling to sleep. Suddenly, like, my partner's telling me, you need to go and speak to someone because you're difficult to live with, right? And I think the saddest thing is if it reaches the point where they lose their joy for what they were doing, right? Like where the pushing has, and the pushing and the success or having to reach these certain levels has actually taken such a toll that they don't have passion for what they do anymore, and they're not enjoying it anymore. And then what's the point, right? Like for me, it's like, why can't we do awesome things and have fun at the same time? Burnout, there are actually different kinds of burnout. So you can have burnout with, for example, you can have emotional burnout, right? Which is, I guess, the one that I would be talking about. Or you could have, for example, the physicians and the healthcare workers right now, and even my fellow psychologists. You have something called caregiver burnout, right? Where you just you've used your empathy to the point where you just can't have empathy anymore and you're exhausted. That's also a form of emotional burnout. And then, of course, with athletes, you can get physical burnout, where they've just pushed their bodies to the point where their body isn't recovering fast enough after all the pushing that they're doing, and so they collapse. The recovery from burnout depends on how many levels you've burnt out. If you've burnt out physically and emotionally, then it's going to take longer. Burnout also can affect your immune system, right? So we also see that sometimes what will happen is they won't feel emotionally burnt out. They'll still want to keep going, but they'll develop some kind of sickness, some kind of autoimmune condition. Maybe they'll suddenly have chronic fatigue syndrome. They'll be getting sick all the time. So the immune system's compromised. So our body is actually an holistic system. And if you think of the way I talk to clients about it, right, is I say, imagine that your body or yourself is a jug of water, right? If you keep pouring the water out until there's nothing left, there's a point where there's really nothing left. If you're not pouring water in while you're pouring water out, there's going to come a point where there's just nothing for the body to build on, nothing for you to build on emotionally. And that would be like an idea around how burnout can happen.